Hi, I'm Francesca Amaker. The world is mourning the loss of Queen Elizabeth II, who died today at the age of 96 after 70 years on the throne. The Queen was Britain's longest reigning monarch. Take a look with me right here. Right now, you're looking at a live shot of Buckingham Palace, where thousands are paying their respects to Her Majesty. Just moments after Buckingham Palace made the announcement of her passing. And as you see right here, there are hundreds, possibly thousands of people with umbrellas in the rain, mourning the loss of Her Majesty. Just hours ago, they were praying together, hands extended, comforting one another as they were exchanging stories and tears outside of this palace. Her son, now known as King Charles, released a statement on the royal family's Twitter account, writing, "The death of my beloved mother, Her Majesty the Queen, is a moment of the greatest sadness for me and all members of my family. We mourn profoundly the passing of a cherished sovereign and much-loved mother. I know her loss will be deeply felt throughout the country, the realms, and the Commonwealth, and by countless people all around the world." Earlier today, in a statement by the palace, we actually learned that doctors were concerned for her health and her family rushed to be by her side. Her Majesty passed this afternoon at Scottish residence Balmoral with her 4 children by her side, as well as her grandson and now second in line to the throne, Prince William. And guys, there have just been so many heartfelt tributes pouring in from all around the world. And almost all of them share the same sentiment. The Queen was a constant who led with grace, and she also led with warmth. In fact, I want to share some of them with you. President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden released a statement, writing in part, "Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II was more than a monarch. She defined an era." Also, Sir Elton John on Twitter writes, "Queen Elizabeth has been a huge part of my life from childhood to this day, and I will miss her dearly." Bill Clinton also writing on Twitter, "My thoughts and prayers are with the royal family and all the people Her Majesty inspired throughout her lifetime." And before we get to the next tweet, I want to share with you all this. You just heard a tweet from Bill Clinton, and that's one of the multiple presidents that she met during her reign as Her Majesty, her reign as Queen Elizabeth. Keep in mind, she has seen 14 presidents throughout her term. She has seen 20 Summer Olympics. She was one of the only monarchs to greet and speak in front of Congress years ago. We also know that she had some fun with presidents as well. You guys can YouTube this. I was just checking out a little bit of video before I got on here, but she was at the Kentucky Derby with the second President Bush. She was actually breaking bread and dancing with the first President Bush. We also know that she enjoyed horseback riding with President Reagan as well, and she enjoyed breaking bread with him at state dinners. She was full of life, and that life, again, we can see through Instagram posts and tweets and all over social media. Look at your favorite celebrities' Instagrams, and they are talking about how she impacted their lives. In fact, Victoria Beckham posted on Instagram, "Today is a very sad day, not just for our country, but for the entire world. I'm deeply saddened by the passing of our beloved monarch, Her Majesty the Queen. She will be remembered for her steadfast loyalty and service, and my thoughts are with the royal family at this incredibly sad time." Now, almost as if the Queen was sending a message to us all, I want you guys to take a look at this beautiful, beautiful photo that has now gone viral. I mean, this is so symbolic if we have it here. A beautiful rainbow appearing above Windsor Castle. And again, that is just an image that we will continue to see for quite some time. She passed, and I'm just gonna kind of illustrate it for you all. It has been raining all over the Scottish Highlands where she passed away. It has been raining all over the UK in London. And earlier this afternoon, there was a break in all of this thunderstorm. There was a break in all this rain, and the skies cleared. And just above the palace, there was an overarching rainbow, not half of a rainbow, the full rainbow. And many people are coming together on social media saying that this is a symbol of the stability, of the longevity that Queen Elizabeth II represented. Now, shortly after the announcement of her passing, flags were at Buckingham Palace, and you're looking at that right now. And throughout the UK, they were lowered to half staff in honor of Queen Elizabeth. In fact, President Biden also honored her by ordering the flags to be at half staff as well in the US Capitol. They were lowered until the day of her funeral. And a huge crowd still remains outside Buckingham Palace, with many holding umbrellas to fend off the rain. Now, the Queen will lie in rest for 24 hours rather, in Edinburgh. That's where she will be. And King Charles and the Queen Consort remain at Balmoral, and they're going to return to London tomorrow, where they're expected to make a broadcast to the nation. Now, I also want to just mention this to you guys. I got a chance to speak with an expert who has been following the royal family for so long, and he spoke to me about not only how today is a day of grieving and how it's very somber today, but he also spoke to me about unity. And that's what the Queen represents. In fact, listen to Jonathan Sarkady, who represents the royal family and an expert for a royal family. Go ahead. Jonathan, it's just been announced that Queen Elizabeth has just passed away. What is the tone, not only in London, but worldwide right now?
There are crowds outside Buckingham Palace already. People have been gathering all day knowing that this sad news was likely to be announced. And I think that no matter how well people prepare, whether it's in terms of the civil service and the government preparing for the state funeral, whether it's the family preparing, knowing that she was unwell as they gathered in Balmoral to be with her, nothing can really prepare you for the death of a loved one, but all the more so when it is somebody like Her Majesty the Queen, such a historic figure, somebody who has spanned the decades and represented the true spirit of what it is to be dutiful and to give service to the nation for all those years.
The longest reigning monarch in history. She represented stability, longevity. What do you think her passing means to the royal family that has faced multiple controversies as of recent?
I think that this is a moment when people will look at all the things that were best about Queen Elizabeth and the contribution that she made to the monarchy, to the royal family, to Great Britain. I think that people will put some of the controversies behind them for now at least, and just remember the enormous service she gave, the importance of her role, and just what a spectacular job she did of encapsulating what it means to be British.
I imagine there are so many protocols set in place as well.
There are protocols set in place. We'll see a very big state funeral taking place, something the likes of which we've never seen. And I think that there will be a lot of respect and love shown for Queen Elizabeth. While we knew that she was old, we knew that she had some health issues, we didn't know when this would happen. And I think that now it has. There'll be a massive outpouring of grief. There will be a display of that sadness and emotion around the whole world, but especially here in London, where people really looked at her not just as the head of state, not as just the mother of the nation, but even the grandmother of the nation, and she'll be really very sorely missed.
Prince Charles now taking over. What does this mean for him and his constituents?
Prince Charles, of course, will be grieving the death of his mother. He himself is in his 70s. Of course, he is now King Charles, and that will usually be declared the next day, tomorrow. But there is never not someone in charge. He is now going to take over as the monarch, a day that he has waited a long time for, but he's always said he knew would involve great sadness when it did arrive, because it would mean that his mother had passed. I think that we will be looking carefully to see how he's learnt from her, and the example that she set will be one he'll hope to continue, I think, during his reign.
Again, King Charles will be doing this sort of grieving parade, if you will, this grieving tour over the next few days as we lay the Queen to rest. And I just want to go ahead and point out to you all the severity of a day like this. This is a woman who has outlasted. She has lived longer than so many people, as I mentioned earlier, 14 U.S. presidents, 12 UK prime ministers. She's also had a husband who was he was a soldier in World War II. Her father was in World War I. That paints the picture of who this woman is. She was born in 1926. She became the Queen in 1952. She has seen so much, and I think it just speaks to her regality, her classiness, her grace, that at the age of 21, Just 4 years before she became the Queen of the Commonwealth, she traveled to South Africa and she made a vow. She made a vow to do a lifetime of service, and also recently referenced that vow when she was making her speech at the Platinum Jubilee Commonwealth, if you guys remember that, back in June. This is a woman who took her vow seriously, not just to her husband, but to the people of her Commonwealth and to the people of the world. And I also want to mention this to you all as well. You know, you may not know so much about the Queen, but I think that something that's so admirable is her work ethic. And I think that that just stands strong when we think about and we reflect now on her life. This is a woman who is 96 years old. She was 96 years old when she passed, and she worked up until Tuesday, this Tuesday of this week, ushering in and welcoming Prime Minister Liz Truss, and she ushered her in as Boris Johnson, the former prime minister, was being ushered out. And she would have worked Wednesday for a Zoom call, but because doctors said, you know what, we don't advise you going through with this Privy Council meeting, she didn't do that, but she wanted to. In fact, the expert that I got a chance to speak with, he shared another quick anecdote for me. He said she was one person who had to fight doctors away. She had to fight doctors and say, listen, no, I want to work. I want to be out here. She didn't like canceling anything. And I'll share this with you. She, every single day of her monarchy for the last 70 years, would receive these state papers. And what these state papers were was essentially the correspondence of the White House. So kind of like, you know, paperwork of my palace to see how things are going. Well, there were only 2 days out of the year that she would not accept state papers. And that was Christmas and Easter, because she wanted to spend that time with her family. That just goes to show you that she is not only the center mark of stability and longevity, but she's a woman of her word. And when we think back and we look back on the life of Queen Elizabeth II, that's what we should see. And this rainbow that I referenced earlier in the show, in our broadcast, you're looking at it right here. This is a real photo that a photographer took as the Queen, several hours after she took her last breath. That is the photo of a rainbow outside of Buckingham Palace. And I think that is just a vision, as well as so many other visions that we're going to remember when we think of Queen Elizabeth II. And I'll just reiterate this too. We have so many other celebrities. They're chiming in. Ozzy Osbourne tweeting, Andy Cohen, Janet Jackson, Barbra Streisand, Mick Jagger, Kris Jenner, Reese Witherspoon, and so many more. We want to continue to share the breaking news and everything that's happening right now over in London, right here on E! Online. So continue to check back with us, because over the next 10 days, as the nation, as the Commonwealth, and as the world mourns Queen Elizabeth II, we will be your leading news source. We want to thank you so much for being here with us, and our prayers are for the royal family at this time. Thank you.